Welcome to Camera Club of Richmond Spotlights. My name is Karen Davis, and I'm the Communications Director for the Camera Club of Richmond. We are pleased to be here to spotlight Dr. Venkat Santosh today. He's a dedicated photography enthusiast with a deep passion for capturing the world through the lens. He's been a member of our club for quite a while, and he's not a full-time professional. He is a retired doctor. We're going to hear a little bit more about that. But he's spent years honing his photography craft, focusing on a lot of travel and landscape photography and continually experimenting with new techniques and new styles. So Venkat, thank you for joining us for our spotlight. And before we get into talking about your photography and some of the awards that you won last year in our end of year competition, can you tell us a little something about yourself?
First, thank you for inviting me and interviewing me as part of the Camera Club. As you mentioned, I'm a retired surgeon. I was doing robotic abdominal surgery. I was a partner at Surgical Associates of Richmond for a little over 20 years, and I retired 2 years ago. So now I'm able to focus more on travel and photography.
Awesome. All right. And I hinted a little bit at your being a member of the Camera Club, but how did you actually approach your journey into photography? How did you get involved in it and interested in it?
I mean, it's been a long journey, and I've been doing this for a while. It started fairly young, and I think while I was a teenager, I would play around with my older brother's box brownie and noted that I could express myself better through the imagery of film. Images were more expressive and more appealing than words can convey. So gradually over a period of time, I got into my own style, black and white film, and color slides. Mm-hmm. And I actually noted that at that time, certainly, color slides offered a truer representation of light and color. And of course, eventually I got into digital photography very early in the game, and I have progressed through multiple generations of cameras. And currently I'm using the Nikon system, mm-hmm. and that's been very valuable.
All right. So where do you find your creative inspiration?
I don't want to sound banal, but I think in terms of photography and what is exciting, you see it every day. It's not just sunrise hitting the peak of a mountain. You can see the same sun filtering through the maple trees in my front yard, and that is exciting. You see shadows. You see the light filtering through in a cathedral through a stained glass window. All of these are exciting. All of these provide the inspiration for the images that I want to create.
Mm-hmm. And I hinted at your awards from our competition last year, and the one that really struck me as being inspiring was simply, I believe it was pond scum that you took a picture of for our abstract category, and I think you called that one Eddies of Life. And it won an honorable mention in our abstract assigned subject category last year. So you found an inspiration there. Where was that?
Exactly. Yeah. I was that actually was in Pony Pasture sometime in late spring. Mm-hmm. And there was all this pollen that had dropped onto the puddles on the road. And so as I was walking by, I noticed that these had created these whirls of greenish yellow mm-hmm. In these puddles. So I took multiple pictures, and I noted that it formed a fantastic abstract pattern. So, which brings me back to the same point. You can see beauty, you can see images, you can see these things anywhere in everyday life.
Absolutely. So what genre do you like to shoot the best? I guess you probably can't narrow it down to a single one, but from maybe some of your travels.
Sure. I think you said it right. It's difficult to state what drives me the most, but if you were to pin me down, I would say landscape.
Hmm.
I travel a lot, and I use travel as an excuse for photography and vice versa. And I like to see and explore new places, particularly isolated areas and large landscape vistas. And that's what I find most appealing. But by the same token, my travel also takes me to locations where there are some cultural niches, people that are interesting, and that is also oftentimes very interesting for me.
Hmm. I think one of the more compelling landscapes that I loved from your work was the almost there shot that you took. That was a first place in one of our other assigned subjects in the minimalism, but the contrast between the sky and the dunes and the two travelers. And where was that one?
Well, that was actually in Namibia.
Uh-huh.
And I have to point out that Namibia is one location where I thoroughly enjoyed being there. We were the group of photographers, and these are these large sand dunes on the northwest part of Namibia. It was a little difficult getting there. We had to camp in rather primitive conditions and get up very early in the morning to catch the sunrise. And we were able to do that because we were in a group. And the contrast between the blue skies, the orange-red sand dunes was really, really compelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the composition of that one was quite striking to the judges as well as all the folks that were there observing that one. You talk about landscapes, but you've also done some wonderful cityscapes. There was one called $1 Million View that took a second place in the architecture category.
Yeah, that was actually taken from the top of Rockefeller Center. It's called I think, the Top of the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was taken sometime in late September. It was freezing cold, and had to wait get there early because there's quite a crowd that gets there for sunset shots. So I got there, waited in the cold and the wind for about 2 hours before I was able to get the blue hour image. This New York City skyline with the Empire State Building, and far out in the distance, Freedom Tower just coming up.
Mm-hmm. And then the interesting pylons in the foreground that lead you into that picture. It's just a really great cityscape shot.
Actually, that's the other view taken from Brooklyn Pier. Those are the pylons on the East River, and that's the other picture with the Brooklyn Bridge on one side and the skyline, New York City skyline. Yes. Right.
Yeah, great light in that one too. And then you also branch out in your travels and take portraits. There you had a couple of great portraits of your Indian villager, which was received an honorable mention, I think.
Yes, that's actually is a favorite picture of mine, and I love that picture. Can I show it to you?
Absolutely. Yes, let's see.
I have it framed, and this is the picture that I love. This was taken...
oh, maybe I labeled them wrong. I had that one as Beauty and Her Burden.
Correct.
But that's okay. Beauty and Her Burden. Yeah. I do love
this
that.
was actually taken at a temple renovation site. This is a temple that dates back to the 12th century, and they were renovating it. And there was this village girl who was helping with the construction work, and she was carrying all these bricks, and she posed for me with this picture. And what I love about this is that smile. Even though she's carrying that heavy load, that shy smile, and it is, to me, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah. Interesting enough to put on the cover of our magazine. So
thank you.
that was our cover shot. Absolutely.
Let me take this
Yes.
back.
Okay. And since we're talking about covers, the back cover of our magazine from last month was your hole in the wall picture. Another great landscape with a fabulous, fabulous light.
Yes, let me tell you that story.
Mm-hmm.
That picture was taken in Big Sur, California coast. I had gone to California to San Jose for a conference and took 3 or 4 days off and drove along the central California coast. And this is the Pfeiffer State Park. Mm-hmm. This is a sea stack with a hole in the middle. And right at sunset, at certain times of the year, the sun just comes through that hole in the sea stack. And then the sky has brilliant reds and purples. I'll show that picture
Let's
to you.
see that one too. Oh,
this is the picture that I was, yes, I had made a large canvas print out of this because I like it so much.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the colors have come out very well in this here. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a trudge to this beach. The parking lot is possibly about a mile, and you're hiking through some sand and to get there. And then, of course, once you've taken the picture, it's dark and you have to hike back to the parking lot.
Right.
So it may seem a simple process, but sometimes some of these can be a little difficult and challenging.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, the light on that one is just stunning.
Thank you.
All right. Now, is it going into a place of honor in your home?
Well, yes.
And then some of your far-flung travels, I guess you've been pretty much all over the world. Have you hit all 7 of the continents? Or not yet?
Well, the only continent I've not been to is Australia.
So
I'm planning a trip next year. If I can get my wife to take time off to join me, yes.
Awesome.
But I've been to Antarctica. I've been all the way up to the Arctic Circle, Alaska, Far East, most of South America, North America, and Europe, Africa. But Australia, no.
Not yet. Okay. All right. We're waiting for those pictures.
Yes.
But mentioning Africa, one of my favorites was also the "Where's Everybody Else" shot that you did of the giraffe. That one also won a first place for you last year.
Well, I like that very much. Can I show that to you?
I have it framed.
I'd love to see that. I have that framed.
Okay.
Yes. This was also taken in Namibia. This is in Tosha National Park, and we were here late one evening, and we were at least about an hour and a half from camp, and this was at sunset, and we could see this giraffe coming in the distance, and the driver said, "Hang on, I think we can catch him as he's walking across." So we waited for about 15 minutes or so to get this picture, and I love this because you can't see any other animals there. Usually these giraffes are in a group, or at least there are 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
This giraffe is by himself, and against the setting sun. Yeah. It's a fabulous image.
And great colors. And you're right. You rarely ever see a solo giraffe.
Correct.
They like to clump together.
Correct.
So just beautiful. All right. I love it. Other photos from Africa, I noticed your quiver tree, which was a 3rd place in the flora category. So that's a little bit of a branching out for you, I think. But that must have been interesting to see all of those.
Yes. Yeah. Again, those quiver trees were in Namibia. Yeah. And that is why that country is so fascinating. You have these things, landscape and trees and images that you don't see in any other part of the world. And so that's the fascinating part of that country.
And then again, another category for your animals. I believe those were also in Namibia. Your 2nd place, Battle Royale.
Yes, those were 2 springboks fighting with each other. And 2 male springboks to figure out who's in charge.
Exactly, a great action shot.
Yes, like all males do.
And then back to flora, and I saw this when I walked in. One of the first pictures I saw, your against all odds picture, which is such a that stark tree against the colors. Yes.
That again is in Namibia.
Mhm.
Somehow we seem to be bumping into Namibia all the
We've
time.
gone
Yes.
to Africa and we haven't left.
Can I show that also?
Yes, let's do that
Do
one.
we have time for that?
Uh-huh.
Yes. This again is in Namibia. These are dead trees in Namibia. They are actually almost fossilized. These are the water that's evaporated, leaving behind just the salt flats.
Mhm.
And again, the contrast between the blue sky, the orange-red sand dunes, the salt flats, palish white salt flats, and the dead tree, such a contrast and such a dynamic image here, and shows how these trees, they're survived all these years in spite of lack of water and lack of any nutrients. This is deadflay, Deadvlei in Namibia.
Uh-huh.
I love this image.
Mm-hmm. And being on canvas, I think it really accentuates it. I like that
Correct,
choice
yes,
of framing.
yes.
Mhm.
I think it brings out the texture in these trees.
Definitely.
Yes. The canvas prints previously I used to get them from MPix, but then more recently I've gotten most of them from Easy Canvas or Discount Canvas services, and they offer good pricing and discounted pricing at certain times of the year. So you get very large prints for what is not terribly expensive.
Mm-hmm. Very reasonable. Good. So we've talked about your travels. I understand you have a travel buddy. So tell us a little bit about your adventures with Dr. Martin Evans and how that came about.
Well, as you know, most of these places I've been to for photography, I've gone with my colleague, Dr. Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Evans and I were surgical partners with Surgical Associates of Richmond. And during conversations, during surgical procedures, we found that both of us had interest in photography. And then that interest burgeoned into a passion. We found we had commonalities in technique and style. So we have traveled to maybe more than 25, 30 different places together.
Mm-hmm. And I love the comment that either you or Martin made about you go to places that your wives don't want to go. I believe.
Correct. Yes, I think Martin says that all the time, because not only do we go where our wives won't go because it's isolated, it's sometimes correct, it's rugged. Plus, we have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to catch the sunrise, and stay up late to catch the sunset, and come back late to the hotel. So that's not something that our wives would enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that. So what are some of your favorite places that you visited?
That's a tough question.
I
was afraid you were going to ask. Yes. Now, seeing as I have a passion for travel, every place I've been to has some point of interest, as something that's inviting, that's very unique. But I think maybe Iceland was fascinating for its landscape. The stark landscape, the volcanoes, the waterfalls, the lava fields. Iceland was fascinating. Namibia is fascinating for whole different reasons. But again, similarly, landscape and wildlife, Namibia was fascinating. Patagonia in South America. Again, you have the Andes rising up from pristine lakes and fjords, and they are simply out of this world. I would probably say some of these, and the Italian Dolomites. Wow, how did I miss that?
Okay. And the Southwest, I think you probably, did you live there for a while, I think?
I did.
Yes.
We were in New Mexico. I
Mhm.
practiced in New Mexico, my wife and I, for about 4 years. And not only then, but also later on, we traveled throughout most of the American Southwest, Utah, Arizona, and they have their own unique landscape. The sandstone, the reflected light against the sandstone is unparalleled anywhere else. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. And then I think as we closed out our written interview with you, I asked you for either an inspirational quote or someone who had inspired you. Do you have a photography hero or a quote that you'd like to share with our folks?
Well, I've been inspired by a lot of people.
Mhm.
When I was in England, which is where my first interest in travel and landscape evolved. There were two major landscape photographers, Joe Cornish and Charlie Waite. And then when I moved here and the interest in digital photography, there's an American photographer who's no more, is Galen Rowell. He died, unfortunately, in a plane crash, but I think about 15 or 16 years ago. His images from the American West, the Sierra Mountains and Bishop and all those areas, are truly inspiring.
Mhm. All right. Okay. Anything else that we haven't asked that you'd like to share?
I'd like to thank CCR, and I'd like to thank also my associate, Dr. Evans, for introducing me to CCR, because it's given me the chance to express myself through my photography. CCR has also helped me learn through friendships and through all these judging and these shows, and exchanging ideas with other photographers. And I'd like to thank CCR and, of course, Dr. Evans for introducing me and asking me to join the club.
Right. And as he likes to say, it shouldn't be a solo sport. And I think you guys have found this companionship and this mentorship of each other. It seems when you work together and travel together and,
Sure.
and learn together.
Sure. I think you put it very nicely, or he did. He put it very nicely, yes. Oftentimes, photographers go about by themselves, but I think it always helps to have another photographer with you for exchanging ideas, or a little bit of back and forth.
Right.
And yes, we have enjoyed our connections, our travels, and a little bit of competitiveness.
Just a little.
Just a little, yes.
And the running controversy between Nikon versus Canon, I understand.
Correct, yes.
That comes into play.
Since I've been working with a Nikon, I always believe that I take better pictures.
And I imagine he'd argue the other side of that one. All right. Well, Dr. Santosh, Venkat, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your photos and your ideas with us. And we hope you enjoyed getting a little glimpse into one of our top photographers in CCR. All right. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you, Karen, for giving me this opportunity to express myself in words, what I've been trying to express with images.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.